Hello everyone, bringing you game one from the North Remembers team tournament that I went to this past weekend. So I'm doing this retrospectively, so a week after the fact, so I'm going to try and remember the games as best I can. If you missed the intro video, I suggest you go back and watch that because I go through my list in that video so that I don't have to do it at the start of every game. So I'm not going to be going through the list here. Go back and watch that video. So the first round of the team tournament, we paired up against another team. I don't think I went through the composition of our team actually. So my team was made up of myself with Bretonnians, a Warriors of Chaos player, and a Tomb Kings player. So we paired up against a team that consisted of a Bretonnian player, a Dogs of War player, which is quite interesting. The event was allowing the fanfic books. So I never played against Dogs of War before, so I was keen to see what they could do. And then the third player was a Dwarf player. I didn't really want to go up against. Well, the way the tournament worked is every team had an overall comp score, and the team with the highest comp got to pick the first matchup. Now the highest comp basically reflects the team with the softest lists. As the higher your comp score, theoretically the softer your lists. So we were +9 out of 10. The team we were against were actually +10 out of 10. So they got to pick the first matchup, and they put their Dwarf player up against our Tomb Kings player, which means we got to pick next. And the Warriors of Chaos player on our team had a better matchup into the Bretonnians than me playing a mirror match. So I ended up against the Dogs of War. My opponent was gracious enough just to say basically Empire with some slight differences. So I was kind of going into the game blind, but I wasn't going to worry about it too much and just worry about my own strategies. So we deployed like this. The Mounted Yeoman on the right hand side there with the Paladin peg just next to them, then the actual unit of pegs just in the woods there, and then Trebuchet. The BSB is actually on his own in the bottom right corner there, but he didn't actually deploy there. I just prematurely took this photo before I put him in the unit. Moving into the centre then, we've got the other lance in the centre, the peasant bowmen taking up a position sort of in the middle of the board. They've not really got a lot of great targets in this matchup. There's not really any chaff. There's no small, fast cav units or anything like that. So what they usually kind of want to shoot isn't there. So they're just going to take up some table space and throw some pop shots here and there where they can. Another unit of mounted yeomen, just deploying sideways so I can get them to fit. They can vanguard up and out anyway. And then my final unit of Knights of the Realm. This unit has the flaming banner. The level 2 is in with that unit there. The level 4 is in with the centre unit, and all the paladins and the lord are in with the lance on the right hand side because they've got the swiftness banner, and with the impetuous knight, they get an awful lot of charge distance. Another treb, and then the lord on Pegasus. Left hand side. What I didn't mention actually is this game we played the meeting engagement scenario. Dawn attack, where you have to randomize where everything deploys. So we're quite lucky in the fact that both of us really got everything pretty much in the center. My opponent got pretty unlucky, which I'll come to in a second, because his master engineer ended up on the opposite side of the board as to where he wanted him. So moving on to my opponent's deployment then. So on the right hand side here, he ended up with his general on Griffin. I don't remember what items he had. All I know is he was kitted out to be weapon skill 8, and then something that made him -1 to hit. Other than that, I don't really know what he had. It didn't really come into play too much. Then he's got, I think it was 2 Hellblaster volley guns, or certainly 1 Hellblaster, and then another piece of artillery just to the left of the house there. Unit of crossbowmen, and then a unit of pikemen. Those pikemen are quite funny. The pikes that they're modelled with are actually brass rods. They're extremely sharp. Like they're actually, legit pikemen. And constantly my opponent was like stabbing himself in the wrist with them. It's quite funny that they were actually literally drawing blood this game. On the right hand side you'll notice there is a unit of ogres there. They are a unit of man-eaters. I can't exactly remember their kit out. I think they definitely have brace of pistols, and then I think they had the Flaming Banner, Scout, and Swift Stride. Oh, they might have had poison attacks. I can't really remember. It's not massively important. I know they were definitely one of the big hitters of the army that I was worried about. And then the skirmishing unit there that are kind of on the floor, that is a unit of duelists. Moving into the centre then, my opponent's got a fairly big unit of Merchant Guard with a Paymaster in there. This was sort of the other, damage dealing unit that the list had. It was also stubborn as long as the Paymaster was alive, so I knew that if I got into that unit, I would definitely have to slaughter that Paymaster as quickly as possible. Another unit of Pikemen there. And then on the left hand side there's the cannon with the engineer who wanted to be on the opposite side of the table with the Hellblaster volley guns. And then after sort of Vanguard and Scout moves, the Man-Eaters filled in that gap between the pikemen and the cannon, and the duelists went over right onto the left hand side. And then we're going into Dogs of War turn 1. You can see they've moved forward a little bit to start taking some shots. The centre lines kind of push forward a little bit. Obviously they're not in threat range of anything, they're just kind of moving up to posture, and then the ranged weaponry on the right hand side there just pretty much stays where it is. And then the general on his griffin flies round to the right hand side. He's going to start threatening flanks. I don't really want to go in there soloing. If I can get a lance in there, then yeah, that's fine. I'll challenge him out and then probably beat him on combat res, but I'm not going to send the paladin there on his own, not with that -1 to hit item that he's got. Go ahead and do some shooting. The Man-Eaters, they get I think if I remember right, they got an absolute ton of hits and then just couldn't roll to wound at all. So many 1s and 2s coming up, and only killed 2 Mounted Yeomen and didn't even. And then I passed my panic test, so it was all fine. It's quite frustrating for my opponent. So this is Bretonnia turn 1, and as you can see by the picture, a lot's happened because I forgot to take several photos. I don't really know why. I sort of the first turn of the game, the first turn of the tournament, and I'm already forgetting to take photos. So hopefully that's not a theme that continues. So basically what happened is I had like 4 charges lined up. I had the Lord on Pegasus and the Flaming Banner unit lined up on the Man-Eaters, and then I had the other 2 Lancers lined up on the Merchant Guard. Some of them needed, I think the Impetuous Knight unit needed an 11, one of the units needed a 10, one needed a 10, one needed a 9. I think the Lord on Peg was the shortest charge, you needed a 7. The others were all quite long, and I made all 4 of them. This is turn 1. So I was really confident. I got both, my Mega Lance with all the characters, and another supporting Lance into the Merchant Guard. My objective was all the characters, particularly the Lord of Heroic Killing Blow. He's on the front left of the unit, the big Lance. We're going to kill the Paymaster, so they weren't stubborn anymore, and then I was just going to absolutely rip through the unit. Now, the Paymaster has a 4 at ward, if I remember right, and he just absolutely tanked so much damage, and actually took the Lord and 2 Paladins to kill him, which was a lot less, or far fewer attacks onto the unit, but in the end it didn't matter. We just did so much damage. We ripped straight through the unit. They weren't steadfast. We broke them, and then ran them down, and the general's unit just turned to face the unit of pikemen there and the crossbows. And then the Man-Eaters did some, they did an absolute number on the realm unit with the Flaming Banner, but with the Lord going in there, all the horse attacks, all the knight attacks, and remember the comp pack that we're playing to gives all the knights devastating charge, so I'm doing double the amount of attacks that Lance normally does, and yeah, just absolutely tore straight through both of his damage dealing units, and now I'm just really not worried about anything. It's just a load of strength 3. So moving into Dogs of War turn 2 then, he kind of just pushes forward with his duelists on the left hand side here. Now my opponent is really demoralised at this point. I made a few charges that I perhaps shouldn't have done, some that I was pretty guaranteed to get, but he's basically just lost the absolute backbone of his army, so he's rightly feeling a little bit deflated at this point. To make matters worse as well, what I didn't take a picture of in the shooting phase on turn 1 is I drop a rock on his general's head and kill him. The Griffin isn't dead. The comp pack for the tournament had a slight rules change where artillery can't hit the rider and his mount if it's a monster. So you have to randomize between the mount and the character. I hit the character, bonked him right on the head, and killed him off the top of the Griffin. So I don't get all the points for the model, but I've killed his general on turn 1 with the first trebuchet shot of the tournament. So yeah, the Griffin passed its monster reaction test, and it's going to fly around and it's going to kill the trebuchet in the next turn. But yeah, it's quite funny. And then he goes ahead and does some shooting here, and I'm guessing there's no wounds dealt, the hard cover or whatever. Don't really know. I can't really know what that picture's supposed to be showing. And then some shooting rips into the big unit. So between the Hellblasters and the crossbows, it kills what, 1, 2, 3, I think like 7 knights. So and it looks like he's done some wounds to one of the characters as well. So. Well, you know, I think that is a spell. I think it's miasma, reducing my movement by 1. No, I'm not too worried about it. I'm close enough that it doesn't matter. I'm quite surprised that it didn't just charge me with the pikeman. I know I've got the characters in there, but you know, Bretonnian lancers off charge do next to nothing. So moving into Bretonnian turn 2 then, because he decided not to charge me or not chaff me up, I decided I was going to go ahead and kill this crossbowman. So charge him, take a stand and shoot. I think he kills 1 more knight by the looks of things, but there's more than enough attacks in there with all the paladins. Remember, there's 3 paladins and a lord in that unit, so even though there's barely any knights left, most of them are characters. And in the top right of the picture there, the paladin on a peg goes into the flank of the Hellblaster, well, the first Hellblaster. Hopefully it should be an easy kill, and then an easy overrun into the second one. And the Lord on Pegasus had a charge lined up into that cannon. He needed, I want to say like he needed a 5, and he failed the charge. So he's just out there with his dick in the wind. His charm shield's gone at this point, so that cannon's just going to turn and face and absolutely blast him to pieces. And then the knight units in the centre here just kind of shuffle around. The mighty yeomen in the middle of the picture haven't charged the pikemen, of course. They're just standing in front of him to block any counter charges and make a nuisance of themselves. And yeah, they end up looking like that. So they've kind of just shuffled around a little bit. The mighty yeomen in the centre there are blocking the other pikemen, just to stop them getting a flank charge on my character unit should anything weird happen with the crossbowman combat. And then in the magic phase, I go ahead and launch an Amber Spear at the cannon and kill it. Yeah, dice are a thing. And then as expected in the combat phase, we absolutely blitz through the crossbowmen. There's only there's only a few left. They're not steadfast. I break them and run them down. And then the paladin kills the Hellblaster and overruns into the other one. It's kind of all routine mop up at this point, if I'm honest. My opponent's just lost absolute, everything from his army. It's not really a game at this point, unfortunately. So it's Dogs of War turn 3. He goes ahead and charges the mounted yeoman. It looks like I fled, but I'm not sure why. Why I fled? I think what I was aiming for is if he killed the mounted yeoman and decided to reform, that the big lance in the centre there wouldn't be able to see them. But if I fled and he ran forward to try and catch me, I would then be able to see him and charge him. I think that's what I was thinking. But what ended up happening is I fled quite far, and then he just rolled absolutely nothing to run me down. So not only did the mounted yeoman get away, but if you can see there now, that pikeman has just given me the flank to the lance unit in the centre. And the pikeman on the left hand side just go ahead and charge the mounted yeoman, and I just hold. Griffin goes into the trebuchet. It's going to kill it. And the duelists go into the trebuchet on this side here. I think that the trebuchet has lost a peasant. It was hit by a cannon on the first turn, if I remember right, and then yeah, did 1 wound. You know, not that my opponent needs any more salt rubbing into his wounds. As expected, Griffin kills the and the duelist kill the other treb and decide not to overrun. They're going to take the charge from the pegs. They're going to stand and shoot and then just see what happens. So into Bretonnia turn 3 then, the lance goes into the pikeman as expected. The paladin is now free because he killed the hellblaster on my opponent's turn, so he charged into the flank. This guy is my challenge. No, sorry, he's not the challenge guy. He is the virtue of the ideal guy. So he's basically a lord going into flank. He's touching the paymaster there. So I'm going to try and kill. His story's not the paymaster. I think that's the level 2. But either way, there's a character in there. I'm going to try and kill him. Lance in the top right just turns to face the action. They may be needed for mop up in following turns. And then, because the cannon's no longer an issue in the top left, we turn around over here just so we can see everything that's going on. Again, we're going to be needed for charges and mop up in following turns. Pegs go into the duelist, take a wound from the stand and shoot. And the mounted yeomen, I think that's a picture there, just saying that they continuing to flee. They didn't rally. So we go into the magic phase, and I've got a level 4 just up against the level 2 now, and I actually think that my opponent failed his first dispel attempt. You know, things just go from bad to worse for my opponent, unfortunately. So just I managed to get through Curse of Anra here on his pikeman, and Wissen's Wild Form on my lance unit. So them in the combat was pretty much going to be a foregone conclusion anyway. This just yeah, he makes it doubly so. I think I tried to get off a Curse of Anra here on the Paladin as well. Not Curse of Anra here, Savage Beast of Horus, but I think that one did get dispelled. So the pegs do actually lose a guy. The duelist managed to squeeze a wound through and kill the peg that took a wound from the stand and shoot. But pegs win combat, and then he manages to get away by an inch. And frustratingly, this is my turn, so I can't charge him and push him off the table. As expected, we kill the unit and it flees, and then the paladin on the peg runs him down. The knight's unit just turns to face because there's another unit of pikemen coming. And then into Dogs of War turn 4 then. So the Griffin charges the peasant bowmen, who with no leadership around fail their terror test, run away and get run down. So, you know, silver linings for my opponent, something to smile about. But in the grand scheme of things, they're just peasants. They weren't doing anything whatsoever. And then the pikemen go into the front of the lance there. They've still got Wissens on, so you know, strength 3 against them, toughness 4 now. So they're going to be wounding me on 5s, and I've got my good armor. I'm not expecting them to do much, if any, damage. I should hold. I possibly may even win combat, and then I've got, you know, plenty of units lined up to come and join the fight. So yeah, in the combat then, it looks like we lose a couple. I don't know if I do any damage. Just flip back quickly. Looks like I can't go backwards. Never mind. I think either I probably lost combat, but with leadership and BSB around, I stick. And then going into Bretonnia turn 4, the pegs charge into the duelist to finish the job there. And then yeah, everything goes into this unit. So we've got a lance, and the peg lord goes into the rear. We're still fighting in the front. I think I tried to get the other lance in as well, but with the way that everything was lined up, I don't think I could wheel around, so they just move up to line up a charge for the following turn, again, should anything weird happen. But yeah, so again, we've managed to force through Wissens again on the lance that didn't charge, and then I get Savage Beast of Horus off on the peg lord. So he's charging again, bearing in mind he has the devastating charge rule from the compact. He also has the Sword of Anti-Heroes, and he can't refuse challenges. So when the level 2, I think the level 2's in this unit. So when the level 2 accepted the challenge and moved to the back, into base to base with the Lord. He went up to 9 attacks because he has 4 base. Devastating Charge makes it 5. Savage Beast of Horus makes it 8, and then Sword of Anti-Heroes goes makes him 9, and then he is Strength 4, 7, 8. So he did like 9 attacks at Strength 8 and just absolutely ruined the level 2 wizard. And then yeah, the charging Lancers mopped up the pikemen, broke the unit, and we ran them down. And it was an absolutely crushing victory for the Bretonnians, 20-0 win. It was pretty much decided on the first turn when I got those fairly long charges. I probably should have failed 1 or 2 of them. It would have made a difference to the game, certainly so. Say my opponent's main 2 killer units, the Man-Eaters and the Merchant Guard, were gone at the bottom of the first turn. And when that happens for Bretonnia, they're usually going to win the game. So this is what happened. Across the team then, obviously I got a 20-0 win, so it's absolutely massive for the team. The Warriors of Chaos managed to beat the Bretonnians. They got a 12-8. And then the Dwarves and 2 Kings played out a 10-10 draw, if I remember right. So I think round 1 we managed to get a pretty solid win of 42-18 out of 60 points. So it was a great start to the tournament. I think it put us straight into first place actually. So yeah, it was a good win and a fantastic start. So hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, drop a like on the video, any comments, and subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, peace out.